I got to see Top Gun Maverick on Saturday night. It was wonderful. I nearly cried. And by that, I mean I definitely cried, but did my best to make it look like I was yawning, and so no one would think I was crying. It was perfect. What an event it was. I happened to find out last week that a former local athlete, a former Navy soccer player, happened to be involved with Top Gun Maverick, and I want to find out more about it. Her story is fascinating in and of itself. It's a pleasure for us to welcome into the program Commander Kristen Dragon Hansen, who's with us now here on GCR. Commander, it's Glenn and Zach. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us. It's an honor to chat with you.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, I'm assuming you've seen the movie at this point.
I have.
Okay. Can you detail through with me how you got involved, got hooked up with Monica, what is the story in you being a part of Top Gun Maverick?
At the time that they were filming up in Fallon, Nevada, where Top Gun Actual is up there, the schoolhouse is there. I happened to be working at a different department on the base, and when they were looking for pilots to fly in the movie, the skipper of Top Gun at the time asked if I'd be interested in flying during the week that they were out there, and I said absolutely, and that's about it. I get to meet Monica and the cast, and it was a fabulous experience.
Wow! So, when they approach you about this, was it something that you were like, did it hit you? This is a really big deal, or was it just sort of like, this is what I'm going to do today?
I think it is definitely unique. There is something to be said when Paramount moves into one of the hangars, and it is a very impressive organization. So it definitely was not just going to work as normal. I don't go through hair and makeup before I go flying usually. So
right.
that in itself was very unique, but it was a very, watching Paramount and all the actors and everybody who is part of the production get ready to go through the shoot and get the shots they were looking for airborne was just really cool to see, and how much they really cared about getting it right and making the most of the time that we had airborne. So it was really cool.
It sounds really cool. So when you say you were out flying, like when we see scenes in the movie, were you flying in some of those scenes, and just the magic of cinema made it look like someone else was flying in those scenes?
Some of the scenes, yes, I was flying in them. There's obviously a huge group of people that were involved with it that get to fly. I was very lucky to get to fly with Monica and Lewis Pullman for their scenes in some of the beginning of the shots, and then one of the lieutenants, Amy from across the street at one of our rags, she flew Monica for kind of the mission scenes. So they have a fabulous camera system that they set up and worked with the Navy to make sure they could put the cameras into the aircraft safely. So there were about 6 cameras, if I remember correctly, looking back on the actors, and there were 2 over the front, over the shoulders of the pilots. So almost all the scenes that you see flying around, the actors are actually in the aircraft doing their thing. And then obviously they did some magic to make it look, for the 2-seat aircraft, that, the actors were in the front with their Wizzo in the back. But there was a lot of effort to make sure that, when we turned, we tried to tell them which way we were turning so they could look in that direction.
Wow.
And it looked more natural of how they were operating the aircraft.
Commander Kristen Dragon Hansen, a former Navy women's soccer player. She's with us here on GCR. Commander, I think that's one of the things that jumped out most to me about the movie is, like, it makes it work. It doesn't come off as campy in any way. Like, you are gripped to all of this. You know what it is. Clearly you were doing it, right? Like, this is your life. And did you feel some of that? Like, oh my God, this really does. It comes off the way that it kind of feels like to be flying in these aircraft.
Yeah, it's so much fun to watch. I think all of us who did the flying were just super stoked to see the footage that came out of it. I mean, we don't have cameras in the aircraft that show what the movie can show. Even when we've snuck GoPros up over the years, it doesn't. They're great footage, but nothing like the IMAX cameras that they have in the aircraft. So I think for us, the coolest part was to be able to see the aircraft on the big screen, and it's what it looks like, or the closest it looks like that I've ever seen. from being the aircraft itself to actually being able to see it on a screen.
That's really cool. All right, so in your life, did you have to deal with, like, were you ever out somewhere and because you're a pilot, like somebody came up to you and tried to sing "You've Lost That Loving Feeling" to you? Like, have you had to deal with like Top Gun, just jokes or whatever over the years going into this?
Oh, of course. I think I've been dragged on a couple of stages for karaoke a couple of times, or actually, it's a fine if you're in the Top Gun building itself. If you quote the movie
Are you
as a joke, you
serious?
have to pay. You have to pay money. Yeah, but it's all in fun and good jest. I mean, no matter how much we say, oh, we never saw it. Every single one of us has seen it multiple times and grew up with it. So, but yeah, it's just some good razzing that goes on behind the scenes.
But that didn't make you roll your eyes at all when like you found out there was going to be another Top Gun. You weren't like, oh God, really? We're gonna have to deal with this for another 20 years?
Me, not personally. Maybe some of the guys out there, but again, they all secretly love it, I think. We were excited to see how it came out, and I think we're all very impressed in the final product, and that they did a great job of paying homage to the older movie while still moving forward with the new movie. So I think it came out great.
No question. All right, we got to know about you. How did you, Commander, become Dragon? Like, give me your path from when you were here in Annapolis and getting your naval career started to becoming, I'm not trying to toot your horn, but a legend within this community.
Oh, definitely not a legend by any stretch of the imagination, but I think I pretty much had the normal career path for aviation, or at least for a lot of us. There's a couple different paths you can take within the community, but after graduation, did flight school down in Pensacola, Florida, and Meridian, Mississippi. Ended up out here in Lemoore, California when I selected Hornets, which is what I had wanted. So I was very excited about that. And from there, I've just been bouncing around my fleet squadrons. Been in a couple of squadrons out here in Lemoore. Was lucky enough to go through Top Gun when I was a junior officer, and worked at some of the weapons schools out here in Lemoore as well. And then, as we made mention too, I was up in Fallon teaching air wing integration so when the aircraft carrier goes out to sea, our department worked on getting all the airplanes on the carrier to figure out how to work together. And then came back here to Lemoore. I'm currently a part of VFA 25 and having a great time. The people are amazing in the Navy from beginning to end. So I think looking back on it, that's been the coolest part. Just the fellow pilots, our maintainers, our ground officers, every person in this organization has just been absolutely fabulous to work with.
That's really cool. And where specifically did Dragon come from?
Everybody gets a nickname when you show up to the squadron. It's usually after you do something stupid. For me, we were rolling movies, and I love to play How to Train Your Dragon, just mostly because it bothered the guys, so it kind of stuck.
I was really hoping it was going to be something more badass than that, if I got to be honest with you, Commander.
No, the Navy ones are never badass.
Okay.
They're usually pretty self-deprecating. We make fun of the Air Force because they all have, like, cool call signs. We're like, no, we kind of make fun of ourselves in the Navy.
That's pretty great, actually. That is pretty great. Did this experience make you want to say, like, I hope they make another? I hope that, like, Miles and Lewis Pullman and Monica and all them, like, I hope that there's future Top Gun movies because I'd love to be involved with them.
I would love to work with them again. They set the bar really high from themselves, and if anybody could do it again, it would definitely be them. But it was such a pleasure to work with them all. Monica is an outstanding actress and even a better person. So it was just so nice to get to meet her and work with her, and it was so much fun flying with Lewis and all those guys. So if they could pull it off, I think they have to keep the same cast because I think they did such a great job. But who knows? I know everybody said that they couldn't come up with a sequel that would be as good as the first, and they pulled it off. So I guess we'll have to find out.
Oh, it was just so delightful. What a delightful film. When I was reading about the training they went through, the actors, and I read about something called I believe it's the Helo Dunker. Can you tell? Because when I read about this sounds like a form of torture. I'm the type with anxiety. Whenever I drive over a bridge, I legitimately start looking around like, okay, if this bridge collapses right now, what do I have to do in order to like survive the bridge collapsing? This sounds like a form of hell I couldn't possibly imagine, and reminds me of why we have such reverence for people like you and what you do. Can you explain to people what the Helo Dunker is that these actors legitimately went through in training for this film?
Yeah, it's definitely as bad as it sounds. All of us dread it, and all of us have gone through it a couple of times at this point in our careers, and it is nothing we look forward to. So that being said, I have unfortunately known people who have had to use the skills that they learned and were better off for it and are
Mm-hmm.
alive today to tell the story. So there is a reason behind all things, but essentially, especially in a F-18, if you eject over water, the most likely way you're going to get rescued is from a helicopter. And then also, once in a while, you might find yourself on a helicopter going to and from the ship. So they want you to be able to know how to get out of a helicopter if it goes down in the water. So what they do is they literally have you buckle into the frame of it doesn't look like a helicopter, but it looks like this big tube with seats in it and fake windows and doors. Have you buckle into it and then go through multiple iterations of having that frame dropped into the water. It flips upside down, and then you have to make your way out with about 4 or 5 other people. And you're blindfolded on some of the iterations. You have to swim the length of the fake helicopter a couple of times, open doors, all while underwater. So
Nope.
it's
Nope.
pretty miserable.
Nope. Nope.
Don't recommend it at all.
Nope. There is a reason why you are Commander Kristen Dragon Hansen, and I'm an idiot who talks about sports. Like,
You're not. You're probably doing it right. That
my,
is the smarter way to go.
my God, that sounds like absolute hell, like the definition of the concept of torture. And again, a reminder of why we have such great reverence for people like you that are willing to go through that, and remarkable. And did it mean something to you in dealing with these actors that they did go through that type of training, that they put themselves through in order again to try to make this as serious and as legitimate as they possibly could?
Yeah, absolutely. And some of it on the surface is safety, for them to be able to get in the aircraft. We had them do that so that they would be safe themselves if it came, if, in the absolute worst case scenario. But all of them put in a ton of effort into learning about the community and what it was like to be in a ready room and what it was like to work together airborne and to prepare for missions. So, and all of them took that very seriously. So I think it was cool to see them go through that just so they understood a little bit more of the community as a whole and the training that was involved. So, and I think that was something that we all appreciated a lot, the amount of effort that they put in to not only making a great movie, but to make sure that it was as accurate as you could make it while still being entertaining.
It really did come off that way, Commander. But before I let you go, only because the uniqueness of when I'm chatting with you, can you put into words when people talk about Memorial Day and this weekend, and people say, we still struggle with people saying the phrase Happy Memorial Day, right, in the United States. Can you tell me what it is that this weekend means to you and your service and the people that you have known and lost in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of funny, not funny, but watching the movie older now. When I saw it when I was a kid, it was like affirmation of, yeah, I really want to do that. And then sitting back and watching the movie now, you have a just much different perspective on life and the community. And you remember when you were a lieutenant and you're just gung ho, ready to go, can't wait, and fast forward to where I am in my career now. And there's almost nobody in this community that hasn't lost somebody, hasn't lost friends or shipmates, or there's nobody, even if you don't know that person, 20 people that were really good friends with that person after an accident. And it's, you kind of have to step back and, look at that and realize that we all do this because we love it and it's important to us, and it's part of a bigger picture, but it doesn't make it any less difficult when your friends don't come home that day,
Mm-hmm.
and you're close to not only them but their families. So That being said, I don't think any of the people that we flew with would have changed a thing. I don't think there would be any regret in their mind for getting in the airplane the day that they didn't come back, and they wouldn't want us to stop doing what we're doing either. So we always stop and think about the list of friends that we lost, but at the same time know that we're doing homage to their memory by getting out there and continuing to do what we do.
It's so well stated, and it's why we have such incredible reverence. And how about Karen Gabara still in 2022, still getting the job done? I know just a year removed from another trip to the NCAA tournament. It's got to be pretty remarkable to see the run that she's had after, I don't want to age you, but a couple decades removed from your own playing career.
Right? They're still going at it. It's awesome to see. I'm looking forward to hopefully moving back to the East Coast here in the next year and being able to finally get back and watch some Navy women's soccer games. So super excited about that. I didn't realize. I think we did a all year soccer reunion a couple of years back now. And I didn't realize how early on in the program I was. Kind of cool. I was like, oh, the program was still kind of new there. And as you said, we're a couple of decades in now, and they're still doing great. So it's awesome to see them doing so well.
Commander Kristen Dragon Hansen, what an honor to chat with you this morning. It's so cool. The movie is so unbelievably good, and I can't imagine how much it meant to all of you that it worked out the way that it did. Congratulations on that, and seriously, thank you for all of your service to our country. It means a great deal. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Thanks for having me, sir.